What up? This is Blitz The Ambassador, and I need you to stay tuned on Stay Tuned TV. Salute.
Bonjour à tous, j'espère que vous allez bien. Vous êtes sur Stay Tuned, bien évidemment. Nouveau numéro, nouvelle mission avec my man, Blitz The Ambassador.
Yes,
Are you
pleasure to
fine?
be here.
Thank you.
Yes, man.
Thank you. Donc Blitz, tu es un rappeur, producteur, réalisateur. Tu viens du Ghana
Oui.
et tu vis aux États-Unis. Tu as réalisé différents albums. Je crois qu'il y a un nouvel album qui s'intitule Afropolitan Dreams,
Oui.
avec de nombreux featuring, Angélique Kidjo, Oxmo Puccino, Seun Kuti et Nneka and many more. Pourquoi tu t'appelles Blitz The Ambassador? Why?
Why The Ambassador? Well, you know, when I begun making music, I just went by Blitz. And that was just kind of describing my style, you know, fast. You know, I had the band, everything was very, you know, like lightning, you know, so they called me Blitz. But then, you know, when I started traveling and realizing that, you know, I had a role to play, and my role was to try to make people understand the concept of hip-hop as a global phenom, and also representing where I'm from, which is Ghana, which is Africa, and that's why The Ambassador.
Ton nouvel album s'intitule Afropolitan Dreams. Pourquoi?
Why Afropolitan Dreams? Well, the idea for the album is a very timely one, you know. My idea of what Afropolitan is you know, an African with a global mindset, you know. So figuring out that, you know, sometimes you travel, but not just physically, sometimes your mind can travel too, and pick out all the best things in the world, not just the West, not just the East, but in Africa as well. And picking up all these things and figuring out how to solve our problems at home, taking the best of the world. So that's what the Afropolitan is about. The dream part is obvious. We're not yet there. You know, if you look at where Africa is, if you look at where young Africans are, we're constantly trying to reimagine. And so that's where the dream part comes in. We're working on this dream to be able to take all these things that we're learning all over the world home and use it to solve our problems.
On te voit dans différents clips, on te voit au Maroc, au Japon.
Oui.
Est-ce qu'on pourrait dire que tu es un citoyen du monde?
I think that, you know, I wanted to show that, you know, in fact, this idea is a global one, you know, and it's not just, it's young Africans all over the world who are, you know, picking up all these ideas and thoughts and philosophies, mixing it with their already African backgrounds. And so I chose to go to places that people don't necessarily just think about Africans. I mean, if you say Africans in Paris, it's obvious. There are a lot of Africans here. If you think about Africans in New York, it's obvious. A lot of Africans there. But when you think about Africans in Japan, you know, or Africans in the Arab world, you know, I was trying to just show a juxtaposition of this idea that it can in fact take root anywhere in the world. And in fact, it's the places that don't understand Africa as a place, as a concept, as a people, are the ones that I want to reach with this record. And that even includes Africans in Africa, because they don't really know much about our own continent.
Donc tu es aussi producteur, et je voulais savoir qui avait réalisé ton nouvel album.
Well, I did about 80% of the production myself.
80%?
Yes. Yeah, about 80%. And then my collaborator, Optics, did another 20. So we work on everything together with the band, with live programming and all that stuff.
You work with an NPC?
Yes, well, Optics does. Yeah, he does the programming, the drum programming, and I do the composing, and we get the musicians inside, and then they play it all together.
Quelles sont tes influences musicales?
Oh, my musical influences are many. First, it begins with Africa. You know, a lot of the contemporary African music that we grew up listening to. So everybody from Manu Dibango, Angélique Kidjo, Fela Kuti, Hugh Masekela, you know, these were records that we had at home. A lot of high life, a lot of Afrobeat. So that was my beginning in terms of my first music that I really loved, you know. And then as hip hop came into my life more and more, you know, I'm more of like the classic throwback hip hop from the late 80s to early 90s, you know. So those are my influences: Rakim, KRS-One, Chuck D, you know, that style. And so those are my two key influences. But I'm also very curious, so I mean, I'm always listening, you know, to very different styles of music. Some of them very tribal, indigenous, some of them electronic, you know, just always trying to figure out what are the elements that I can add to my work.
Et quel est ton album fétiche que tu écoutes régulièrement?
The favorite albums, too many to name, but I mean, we can start with I mean, Fela Kuti's Black President. I mean, that, you know, that was a major point in my life. Bob Marley's Survival. It Takes a Nation of Millions. Public Enemy. Paid in Full, Rakim, for sure. Man, I can go on and on and on, but these are albums that I all through my life, you know, I've always been, you know, it's been a part of me.
You're forced to close your eyelids and imagine I rhyme non-stop, Mount Rush.
Combien il y a de personnes avec toi sur scène?
Average is about 7 musicians.
Yeah.
It's 3 horns.
Yeah.
And it's drums, bass, guitar, and percussion.
Je vais te dire quelques mots et instinctivement tu te donneras ton ressenti. Efface avec Ghana.
What comes to mind?
Yeah.
Okay. Home.
Home. Afrique.
Future.
Music.
Freedom.
Success. Succès.
Payback.
Dikembe, Mutombo.
Greatest all time.
Si tu devais mettre quelques mots sur cet album, ce serait quoi?
Well, Afropolitan Dreams is a concept album, you know. It's a journey, you know. So it begins in a place where I began when I moved to America the first time, which was very strange, culture shock, you know, just all these things. And then, you know, it's a story of when immigrants, you know, travel to some place and they're looking for success, and they find it in whatever field. Some people go for education, some people go for work, some people go for art. When you find that there's something that's still missing in your success, and that is how you can use that success to affect home. And so that's what the album is about, and it's a very different concept from our parents. You know, when they immigrated, they weren't really looking back too much. It was, how do I come and fit into France? How do I come and fit into America? You know, young people, when we travel now, we say, okay, how can we fit, but how can we also still stand out? And so the album is really, right from the styling to the concepts to the music, it's about not just assimilation, but standing out in that assimilation. And I think some of it has to do with the internet, because we're able to connect with home more often than maybe when our parents left in the 60s and 70s and 80s. There wasn't much connection. Now we're very connected to what's happening. It's never a time that I don't know what's happening in Ghana. and I'm always back and forth between Europe, America, and Africa. So the album really is an encouragement to say that here's a new story about young Africans trying to figure out a way to connect back home, and you know, it's a journey. So you listen to it as a journey.
But you know that you are when they tell you that you can't, but you know that you can.
What is your last word?
Well, Afropolitan Dreams in stores, April 28th. Yeah, very excited. We have some very good guests on the album. Nneka, Angélique Kidjo, Seun Kuti, Oxmo Puccino. You know, these are all people, in my opinion, are part of the movement, you know, the musical movement of young Africans, you know, that are, you know, defining what this next African sound is going to be like. And very excited to have some great guests on the album and go out and get the album when it comes out.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes,
I like
pleasure.
your album. It's
Thank
a good
you,
album.
man. Thank you, man. Yeah. Looking forward. I'm excited. Thank you for the time. Press.